Welcome everybody to this special event. I'm really happy that all of you are here today and listen to our cool announcements. This will be about the next big step for Nextcloud. This will be about the launch of Nextcloud Hub 22. This is already the second major product launch this year and the fourth in the last 12 months. I'm really happy and proud how awesome and productive the Nextcloud community was and is, obviously. Of course, we still live in unusual times, so the COVID-19 pandemic is still not solved and affecting all our lives, unfortunately. But we can already see that communication, collaboration is changing forever after the pandemic. And this is in our private lives, in our companies, universities and schools, affecting all our lives, the whole world, basically. What we can see already is digitalization is the future. There will be less paper and more remote work. We will communicate and collaborate from home and remote places across time zones with a lot more flexibility and autonomy and less classic 9-to-5 office work as we did before. So what will people and schools and companies do? How will the world look like after the pandemic is over? I think solutions like Google Workspace, Office 365, for Microsoft, Dropbox and Slack become more and more popular. But this means, of course, that all our data, all our communication, all our digital lives will be in the hand of some huge corporations without control, without privacy, and with this huge vendor login. So this has big consequences, and I think we really have to think about it if you really want to live in a world like that, or if you want something different. So does the huge cloud providers actually respect our privacy and security of the users? Do they have different interests? Maybe. I think so, because they're analyzing our data and selling it for advertising. I mean, some of them have advertising as their business model, obviously. And do we really want that? Do we really think this is a good vision for the future? Where is the data actually stored? And which laws apply, right? This is like something really complicated and very important, because if you live in one country and the data is stored somewhere else, this has really big legal implications for all of us. Is there a vendor login? Meaning, is there a way to ever export our data again and move somewhere else? So is it even possible to move away from these big cloud providers to something else? I think this is super important questions that all of us have to think about. And then obviously there's the legal aspect. Are these solutions GDPR compliant? Because according to the European Code of Justice, US services are not GDPR compliant, right? I mean, this was a big ruling last summer, and it's obviously still not solved. So there's a huge legal risk of using these big cloud services. But this is exactly what we want to solve with Nextcloud. So Nextcloud is the only solution that provides you with all these collaboration communication features that we need, like in our world as it is today, and it will be in the future after the pandemic. But we provide the security, we make everything GDPR compliant. There is no vendor login. We don't sell any data to advertisers, obviously. So in our opinion, Nextcloud is actually the solution for this post-pandemic world, but in a good way, respecting privacy and security of the users. Before we dive into Nextcloud Hub 22, the new release, the big thing we're going to show you today, I want to talk a little bit about something else. Because as you might know, this project is over a decade old now, so over 11 years actually, it's a long time. But we have another interesting anniversary today, because last month Nextcloud actually had its 5th birthday. So Nextcloud, the project, and Nextcloud GmbH, the company, is like officially over 5 years old now. That's quite amazing. So I think it's a good opportunity to look back and look at some important milestones, what happened the last years. So let me start 5 years ago with a Nextcloud conference at the TU Berlin with keynote speakers Jane Silver, CEO of Canonical, and Karen Sandler, Executive Director of the Free Software Conservancy. This was really cool. And by the way, all of those is still on YouTube, so I invite all of you to watch it again. Over 100 participants witnessed the announcement of the Nextcloud box. This was a very cool collaboration between Canonical, Western Digital and us. So a really cool product. In May of 2017, we introduced Global Scale as part of Nextcloud 12. Now, 4 years later, Global Scale is used by many of our customers to distribute data between data centers, enabling scaling to tens of millions of users. I don't know how many of you actually know it. I encourage everybody to look up the information around it. It's actually very cool. You can have a Nextcloud instance distributed over different continents with many, many millions of users. It's actually quite easy to set up. So a very cool thing. 2018 kicked off with a bang as we announced Nextcloud Talk to the world. Audio and video chat have become central to the daily work of millions of users today. I mean, especially today with our pandemic, but it's pretty clear that collaboration, chat, video conferencing, file sync and share all belongs together, and we fully embraced it in 2018 with the launch of Nextcloud Talk. In April then, we are proud to announce that the German federal government had chosen Nextcloud as the official secure file sharing collaboration platform. This was really cool to see that what we do is officially recognized and embraced and used by a big government. In October of the year, we started our initiative to push diversity and inclusion in open source. This is called Nextcloud Include. We offer there mentorships, internships, travel funding. So if you're from an underrepresented group or you're interested in mentorship or in an internship or something with Nextcloud, encourage everybody to go to nextcloud.com/include to learn more about that, because there's something that is really, really important for the Nextcloud community. In 2019, machine learning came to Nextcloud, improving the security and usability. We also added access control list permissions, included in our collaborative text editor, Nextcloud Talk. In 2019, we also saw the French government, as well as hundreds of French universities and governments departments in Sweden and also the Netherlands to choose Nextcloud. So it's really cool that what we did, or we started with the German government, actually was then like an inspiration for lots of other organizations, governments all over the world, all over Europe, and they did the same. So this is a big trend. Also like this universities in France and many other places, this is really a great product, great solution for their needs. 2020, with Hub, Nextcloud became a complete collaboration platform with video chat, Groupware and document editing all integrated. So we announced this in a collaboration with Ionos, one of the global top 5 hosting providers, and make big strides with Nextcloud Mail, Forms and end-to-end encryption with our desktop client. So this was a big milestone for us, Nextcloud Hub 20 release, where we really lifted our work to a complete new level. At the Nextcloud conference in October of the year, we announced technology integrations with large numbers of products from GitLab, Hancom, Samad, Moodle, and many, many others. Even integration into proprietary services like Microsoft, Google, Slack, Dropbox, and GitHub, Jira, and many more. And just before the year ended, we introduced another very cool initiative, which was the way to migrate your data from Dropbox, Microsoft 365 and Google directly with a few clicks into Nextcloud. So a very nice way for every user to extract their data from these services and move to Nextcloud. So super fast and simple to use. Yeah, now we reached, of course, 2021. And as I mentioned earlier, at the beginning of the year, we had our first release already of the year, Nextcloud Hub 21, where we announced a collaboration with the German Telekom, several other partnerships, massive performance improvements, and a whiteboard in text. So really a lot happened in the last 5 years, as you can see. But now let's really look into the future and talk about the next big step, which is Nextcloud Hub 22. So the world is changing, and some changes are even accelerated because of COVID-19. So digitalization is the future. So the world will be digital. There will be less paper, everything will be files, everything will be remote, computer, over the internet. The office and the workspace are changing. We will work and communicate via distributed teams. We will even work between different time zones. So this is something that started now with COVID-19, and will become the new normal. And to address that, we're actually introducing Nextcloud Hub 22, which is a release specifically to be tailored for exactly these challenges of the future. We'll focus today on the great improvements in file management, collaboration, Groupware, project management and other areas. Big improvement in Nextcloud Talk will be announced later this month separately. So to tell you all about Nextcloud Hub 22, I will hand over to Jos now.
So we designed Nextcloud 22 to address the challenges of the modern workplace. The world is changing and these changes must reflect in organizations. So you can have social media fallout that you need to deal with or a sudden security challenge, and often ad hoc teams are needed to address a specific problem that happens. Now, to support this reality of modern, flexible and ever-changing organizations, we today introduce Nextcloud Circles. Now, circles are custom groups. They are defined by users, so there's no need for a system administrator to be involved. A user can create such a circle, give it a name, and then choose, let's talk about how teams work together. We wanted to address 3 different collaboration scenarios that occur in modern organizations. Very important today is the role of chat in coordination. We also wanted to optimize the approval workflow that is very common in organizations. And last but not least, we wanted to make document signing easy. So you probably recognize the situation. In a chat conversation, a task is identified. Now, the conversation probably takes place in Talk, the Nextcloud group chat and video conferencing application. And your team probably takes their to-do items in Deck, our project management tool. In Nextcloud 22, you can directly turn a chat item about a task into a to-do in Deck. You simply select the message and choose to create a card in Deck. You choose the board and the stack for the new task and you give it a title. Now you can track the task, assign it, attach documents, put deadlines in and more. You can find the task in the calendar in its due date or simply share the task back into a chat room. The second flow we wanted to optimize is another very common activity in organizations is to get a document approved. This can be for a holiday request or it can be because you are creating a quote that needs to be reviewed before it is sent to a customer. So with Nextcloud 22, we make this easy with approval flows. An administration can define a new approval flow in the settings. Users can then request on a document for approval. They get a dialog where they can choose what to ask approval for, let's say this holiday or something else. And then the managers will get the document shared with them. They can see the request, approve and deny after they've reviewed the document. First, we integrated the well-known DocuSign. Second, the European EID Easy and the fully open source and on-premises LibreSign. Now, this makes getting a formal sign-off super easy. This is how it works. On a PDF, in the 3-dot menu, you choose to sign a PDF. You select who has to sign. It can, for example, be that you just enter the email of somebody, or you pick a user and you hit the send button. The recipient will get a mail with instructions on how to sign the document. That's it. We optimized Nextcloud 22 for the post-COVID world. With circles, we introduced user-defined groups that require no administrator involvement and can just be used as any other group. We also integrated chat with task management and added an easy approval workflow. Last but not least, we made it possible to request PDF signing directly from within Nextcloud. Let us walk through the features from Nextcloud Hub 22 we just talked about, so you can see them in action. We begin with custom groups, circles. I will show how easy it is to create a circle for your team and then share with them. We start in the Contacts app. On the left you have contacts, contact groups, and the custom groups, circles. A circle can be used just like a Nextcloud group. Let's create a new circle for a customer project, Verilium, to coordinate the work. We ourselves, my user here is Christine, are added automatically as owner. You can assign various roles to other users too, like manager, or you can make somebody else owner. Now let's add some other members. You can search for users or pick them from the list. And you can also add other groups and even other circles. Now you can give the group a description. This group is to make a customer happy. Now you can configure the circle. You can let anyone see the circle, request membership. Other options cover invitation handling and moderation. Now let's see what we can do with a circle. We can share a folder. let's share our Verilium work folder. It makes sense to make this available to everyone in the circle. It is in the list, and you can see it is there, and now it is shared. You might have seen I already also created a Verilium chat. I can now go and give the circle access to this. Let me now show you how to manage this Verilium project. I'll create a new board and deck to put the tasks on. First, let's make a to-do stack and then put the first task in it. We have to get our customer onboarded. Now let's share this project with the team. We can do this from the board details. Let's also give the team edit rights so they can assign tasks and add new tasks. This onboarding should be done by the entire team, so let's assign this first card not to an individual but to the entire circle. You see the members of the circle show up here, so you can quickly select and assign them. So that is how easy you can handle groups in Nextcloud Hub 22. Now let's go over the second thing I did show you, the integration of project management in chat. We will start with a chat message and turn it into a task in deck. Let's take this message to Carl and click the three-dot menu. Now we choose to create a card, and then we can pick the project and the stack. You can give a custom summary and description, then just create the card. Let's see the task we just created. You can now assign it to somebody, add attachments and set a due date. And once done, you can share it back into a chat room so the rest of the team knows about it. The second process our goal is to set up an approval process for travel plans of the team. We first create a new approval flow and we name it. We then create 3 tags the system will use to track the status of the documents. You could use a single approval tag for multiple flows to keep things simple. Or, as I do here, create separate tags if you want to execute additional actions on those documents. You could, for example, convert the file into a PDF when it is approved, or post a message in a chat room when there is a request. You can easily configure such things in Nextcloud Flow. Now we choose who can approve documents in this flow. Let's just pick administrators. In a company, you might of course choose a group of managers, for example. You can also assign one or more individuals the ability to approve documents. Now we have set up the flow. Let's see what it looks like from a user's perspective. We create a travel request using the travel request template, and then we fill in the document. Next, we open the sidebar and click the Request Approval button. Now, just use the approval flow we just created and request the approval. That is all. Anyone in the administrator group can now see this document as it was automatically shared with them. They also get a notification. So I can go in, review the document and approve. Or deny, of course. I could also comment on the file, requesting additional changes before I approve. So you see that you can now integrate your organizational processes very nicely into Nextcloud. This will make it much easier to work together for teams in large organizations. The third and final process we optimized for Nextcloud Hub 22 was in a way similar to the second, getting a PDF signed. This can be used to request a signature on a work contract or an offer you send to a customer. The crypto signatures generated by the 3 solutions we integrated act as a guarantee the documents were signed as is and have not been tampered with. Many jurisdictions will accept these as formal, legally enforceable digital signatures. DocuSign is well known, so let me show you that first. We will assume our customer Verilium has to sign off on our requirements document. You simply click the 3-dot menu and request a signature. Type the email address of the person who has to sign. There can be multiple people, and if an internal counter signature is needed, you can also use a Nextcloud username. Then, request a signature. The recipients will all receive an email, asking them to sign. Let me show what that looks like with the second platform we integrated, EID Easy. Just click the button in the email to get started. With EID Easy, you can choose among a variety of internationally recognized signatures. You sign and get your own copy. A unique feature EID offers is the ability to not actually upload the document to the server, but merely a hash that describes the document. This way, you can sign documents without their actual contents leaking to a third-party server. There are many other improvements in Nextcloud. Some of them include, for example, notifications in the app navigation, support for multiple email addresses per user, and easy zipping of files and folders from within Nextcloud files. Let's now go to Greta from our Groupware team.
Hello everyone, I am Greta, part of the Groupware team working mostly on the front-end side. Today I'm going to talk about some of our apps we've been working on since the last release and talk a bit in details about a couple of features. I would like to start with the Nextcloud Calendar, a short introduction for you who haven't used Nextcloud Calendar yet, but also as a reminder for you who have. Nextcloud Calendar can be synchronized to all of your devices, sharing with others your events, schedule work, or your online meetings. You can create and share multiple calendars and integrate external ones with the help of WebCal. You can book resources through a busy view, and plan a talk meeting if you need one. Overall, it's a tool to coordinate remote work across different time zones. Our new feature in Calendar is the trash bin. After you delete a calendar or an event, it goes directly to the trash bin. Now you have the possibility to restore a deleted calendar or an event within a month from the time you moved it to the trash bin, or delete it permanently right away if you decide to do so. The next thing, it's fully integrated mail client in Nextcloud. The new version, it has many great improvements. Actually, we improved our threading integration. For a mail thread, we show only the latest message of a thread. Move a thread will affect all messages in that thread. Filtering, it's another one, and from now you can write your own script to filter your messages. Mail tagging, it's our biggest feature for a mail app, and because of this feature, your tags can be read from IMAP and store them into your local databases. And that means that tagging will be displayed on your Nextcloud mail even though you assign that tag from another mail client. The next thing I'll be talking about is for those who like to keep things organized. Deck, it's an organization tool that can be used for personal planning or project organizational planning for teams integrated with Nextcloud. Apart from creating cards and assigning a tag or a person to it, we have improved our searching feature. Finding deck cards, now it's easier. Now you have the possibility of sharing a card in a talk room, and vice versa, you can create a card directly from a talk chat and save it to your deck. And if you want to attach a file to a card you created, perhaps from chat, you only have to type the title in the shared dialog in the file. There are many other apps part of the Nextcloud that helps your team and you to get things done quicker and easier, and for that I'm going to pass the word to my colleague Jan, who is going to show you more about other apps and knowledge management.
The last big improvement for working after COVID is knowledge management. With remote teams and a paperless office, it's important that everyone has the same information. For this, we would like to present to you the new app called Nextcloud Collectives. Collectives gives you one space to organize everything. Whether you want to write a handbook for your organization, document something for yourself, or have a wiki among friends, Collectives works. Use pages and subpages to structure the knowledge and link across documents for quick reference. Collectives uses the Nextcloud text editor, so it supports collaborative editing and author colors by default. And access is managed with circles, which is now nicely integrated into contacts, as you heard. If you forgot where something was, you can simply search for it, since Collectives supports full text search. And lastly, all the data is fully portable because it is saved in files. This means you can access and edit your pages from any device using the Nextcloud mobile apps and desktop client. Now I'd like to show you how it looks like in action. When you create a new collective, it opens to a helpful page which describes what you can do. This is the front page of your collective, so you can simply add people there. Now everyone can contribute content. Feature. You can link other pages for cross-reference. Simply mark the text you want to link and pick Link File. This is really helpful for referring to important documents across your collective. And if you want to jump back to a previous version, the version history is available in the right sidebar, just like you know from files. You can find the full set of pages you created in the Collectives folder in Files. This way, it is available on all your devices via the mobile apps or desktop client. Pages can also easily be shared this way with people outside of your organization. So this is the new Collectives app, and we hope you enjoy using it. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to show you real-world examples of Nextcloud in use in schools, government and business.
Hello, I'm Mark.
Hello, I'm Johan. We work for SIB, a French public company. SIB is working for healthcare structures, but also for teachers and students in Brittany. And we currently deploy Nextcloud and Collabora for 33,000 students in Ille-et-Vilaine department.
First, deploying whole data storage solutions for schools is pretty bad idea because of the architecture resilience, the security extra and availability. So we have chosen Nextcloud. With Nextcloud, we have centralized infrastructure available in schools and over internet. With centralizations, it's better for automatizations, managements, and security. Good secure infrastructure is cool, but students and teachers want good solutions to manage their data, their files, directory, etc. And Nextcloud offers a large possibility to carve our own solutions. So we use specific add-ons to give a good solutions for teachers and students. These two add-ons is group folders and flow. With group folders, we have created specific preview. This group folders is available by schools. We have one specific group folders by school. In this specific group folders, we have a specific preview by level, class, etc. With Flow, we have created a specific folders to students' homework. In this folder, students have only the possibility to upload their homework, and with this, teachers can get the files and correct it, and share the corrections to the students.
Currently, we are using Nextcloud, but also Collabora. Collabora is used for collaboration between students and teachers on all sorts of documents. We also give the possibility to use their own device. They can bring their own device and work from home or from the schools. Each time we deploy a new school, we have automate a lot of things. We automate integration of group folders, as Mark said, and thanks to the API, which help us a lot for doing this work.
Getting started with Nextcloud is pretty easy. We give some formations for teachers about Nextcloud utilizations, how to create, share, or how to use the specific preview in group folders. Teacher and student are very happy to use Nextcloud, and usage possibility with these solutions grow continuously. To finish, using Nextcloud is cool, make possibility to give educations about personal data, and it's a very cool idea.
Thanks, Nextcloud.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Alex, Nextcloud's accountant. Nextcloud is used by a wide range of businesses to facilitate team collaboration and information sharing. For most businesses, it is important to be sure that customer and partner data is handled in a compliant way, as the GDPR does apply to a lot of different things you handle in the company. Think of HR data, but also mails to partners. In Nextcloud GmbH, our back office works internally and with customers and partners using Nextcloud. And in the next few minutes, I want to walk you through some of the ways we use our software ourselves. I tend to work across 3 different devices. 1 Windows, 2 macOS, in 2 locations. So I use a mix of Apple Mail with a bit of Outlook, Nextcloud Mail and mobile client for email. With 3 devices and 2 operation systems, the desktop client is of course very important to me. My usual workflow includes generating invoices in our accounting software Windows only, but I do most other work from my MacBook. And I have a desktop Mac in the office where I typically don't bring my laptop. So not having to worry about having the last version of my files is very important. However, most of my communication with my colleagues runs through Nextcloud Talk. It is just easy to coordinate that way. We even have set up a few flows where a chat message is posted in a room when one of our partners uploads a file into a folder they have been given a link to. As some invoices have to be approved, the approval workflow in Nextcloud 22 will also be very helpful. If I need one of my colleagues, like Patrick or Vanessa, to review a document, I usually share it to a chat with them so we can edit it together directly from there. Most of our documents are not that special, but Collabora Online also handles more complicated documents that we sometimes get from our partners or customers. During calls, we tend to take notes with text. That gives you a real no-nonsense interface, and the author colors make it easier to track who's writing what and where. Let me also mention the template in Nextcloud, which makes it easy to get started with an invoice or offer. We try to keep a clean folder structure, so we're using the workspace above a folder to explain what does and doesn't belong there. Of course, the folders I need to work on the most I favorite. So those are just 1 click away on the sidebar. And if a colleague comments on a file, you get a notification, so that helps finding the right file as well. Still, I sometimes find myself using the search to find documents I need. The super useful thing is that also finds chat messages, emails and even tasks.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Jordi from the city of Geneva in Switzerland. We are a government agency with offices and buildings scattered all across the city that you see behind me. The IT serves 52 departments that can be seen as 52 different enterprises, 52 different fields ranging from public health to historic heritage maintenance, official legal document releases, museums, city lighting, social services, garbage collection. I mean, you name it, we have it. Those departments are often brought to share documents. It's usually done via the company's Microsoft file system with shared network drives. But we needed a way to access those documents when visiting another department while traveling on the road, in the field, or while remote working. We wanted digital sovereignty and be the ones in control of all the security issues, as well as the backup and restore operations. We also wanted to avoid investing time and money in a solution that would change the license rules over time and lock us in with crazy fees. It happened to us before with another solution. Then no way, we don't want that anymore. So knowing that the source code is available was a key factor in picking Nextcloud. No matter what happens, we are sure that we can use the solution we have implemented, even in the future. Also, with today's needs, being able to access the documents on smartphones and tablets was not even an option, it was mandatory. We have been asked for that for a long time. Now, with plenty of museums, real estate management, we also need to share documents with third-party actors like designers, architects, other museums, photographers who don't have access to the internal network. So Nextcloud met the perfect suitability to task for that. It has rights management with passwords, expiration dates, and for tenders, the ability to upload documents without seeing other submissions. That's a legal requirement on our side. Museums were also very excited about being able to share calendars when planning events over months with partners. It was totally new to them, no more phone calls and emails. About a couple of hundreds people used Nextcloud on a regular basis at the city of Geneva. Now that seems pretty low, but I think it's because internal communication was not strong enough at the time when we released the solution. Then COVID struck and confinement struck, so people didn't have access to the Microsoft file system network anymore. But with remote work, we still needed to access and share essential documents and run tenders. The city services didn't shut down at all at the time. So we faced three challenges for remote working, and to make sure that we would provide an efficient public service and we could continue to operate normally, we focused on deploying VPN access, webmail for communication, and a document management system. So for VPN, we had to give access to 4,500 users, and that was not fast enough. We didn't have the license. It would have taken weeks. In the meantime, users would not have access to the enterprise files. For communication, we were able to focus and bring and promote a webmail access solution within a couple of days, so that was fine. But finally, we needed to access to the files and to the documents for day-to-day city management operations. So we shifted to our file sharing solution we had at the time, which was Nextcloud. We actually jumped from about 180 users to 2,300 almost overnight. Well, actually in 3 days, which is very short. Nextcloud became one of the cornerstones of the city of Geneva that allowed all of us to continue to work in normal conditions, besides having kids screaming in your room and cats jumping on your laptop during the confinement. I'm sure you had that. Also, after several security audits from an independent company that revealed almost cosmetic low-impact concerns that were immediately patched by Nextcloud, we've been told that the single point of failure regarding security would more likely be on the human side than the solution itself. So the auditor even repeatedly told us that he rarely has seen such a high quality level of security in a product just right out of the box. So by implementing Nextcloud as a self-hosted tool, we felt very confident that our data was secure. It was a key point for us. Now, the fun fact is that the only drawback we actually faced when jumping to 2,300 users was performance issues. I mean, with 8 CPUs, the solution was crawling, and all CPUs were at 100%, and it became barely unusable. But it was due to the lack of cache implementation that I totally forgot to configure, following Nextcloud's own recommendations. So I spent a day tweaking it, and voila, the overall CPU usage dropped within a few seconds from 800% down to about 27%. And Nextcloud has been perfectly stable since then. In June 2020, people returned to work and after a few months were confined again here in Switzerland. But I have noticed that now Nextcloud is deeply rooted in our enterprise culture, and most users continue to use it with a great pleasure, I would say. To say the truth, being the guy in charge of Nextcloud at the city of Geneva, I never got a single complaint about it and what it offers as solutions. Another point worth mentioning, I think, is that users also feel very safe knowing that their documents are hosted by ourselves here in Geneva and not somewhere abroad or in the cloud. Now, you're going to have a hunch that I can only highly recommend Nextcloud. I would say especially in a government agency environment, because as I said earlier, you have data sovereignty, the freedom to self-host the solution in your own data center, and you have access to the source code, so the product won't disappear. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I hope that this information was useful. Stay safe in life and online. Bye.
Thanks a lot. I'm really happy about these improvements, all the cool new features that we introduced, Nextcloud Hub 22, but it's also very nice to see how real people use these improvements in their day-to-day work, like in universities and companies and schools, public government and so on. So that's actually really cool, and to see how this actually works in day-to-day lives. So of course there's a lot more that is part of this release that we can't cover in this video, so I encourage everybody to go to our website, our blog posts, our announcements, to read about the details, and also of course test the software to see it yourself. Of course, everything we do is 100% open source and 100% free software. This is in the core and the DNA of Nextcloud. This is really important for us because it gives ultimate freedom to all our users to make sure that the software can be used for everything, to protect your data, your privacy, to make sure that you can build innovation on top of it, to make sure there are no backdoors in the software, to really give you the ultimate security and privacy. So the question is, of course, when will all of this available? So Nextcloud Hub 22, when can you actually use it? As you might know, we at Nextcloud are no big fans of pre-announcements. We basically never do pre-announcements. Because of that, I'm also very happy to say that everything we showed you today is also available today. So you can directly go to our website, nextcloud.com, and download it and use it just today, just now. And of course, stay tuned to our big Nextcloud talk announcements later this month. As I mentioned, we have a lot of improvements there too, but more about this in a few weeks. Thanks a lot for joining today. Thanks a lot for coming to listening to all the great improvements we do. Have a great day, stay healthy, and talk to you again soon.
All right, so this is the Q&A section. Should now be up and running. Of course, we just played the entire announcement. A lot of people in the comments have already been asking questions, and well, I think we should just start with the questions on top. People started. There was some speculation before the announcement started. Somebody asked if Microsoft bought Nextcloud for 15 billion. No.
No, did not happen, and will also never happen because there's nothing to nothing, no board from Microsoft, no.
Yeah, sorry, I am still fiddling with the controls here, but yeah, obviously we're not for sale, so that's I think clear. Yeah, people asked if we had a green screen. We did not. If we did, there probably would have been a fancier picture on the back, I would guess. And the bricks were not horizontal, so somehow I think we need to rebuild the wall behind us in the office.
The bricks are not horizontal.
No.
Okay. No, it's an old. We have our offices in Berlin here in an old factory, so which is, I don't know, over 100 years old. So it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can open a GitHub ticket.
Yeah, fix the building. It's well, given how long it takes to build things there, it'll be a while. Anyhow, somebody asked, as we mentioned that Nextcloud is available in the Netherlands as well, that the government is using it. Somebody asked if there are details on that. I think we have a logo online, but we have no further information on that. That is public, that the customer was willing to share. But it's the Ministry of Education that is using it internally in one department, which is cool. But yeah, it's not something we can talk much more about. Then the next question was if we want to supercharge the Nextcloud relationship with Red Hat/IBM. The speaker said that he hopes for a Nextcloud office in the US that takes on the privacy compromised cloud providers there directly.
Yeah. I mean, Red Hat, they're friends of us. I mean, we really have similar goals and standards, that everything we do is open source. And we have an official partnership with Red Hat, actually. So it's possible to buy a Nextcloud with Red Hat together, with their infrastructure and operating system, everything. So it's possible, yeah. I mean, we technically already have this supercharged partnership, and we have customers together. So and it's of course fully supported on RHEL, CentOS, Fedora, everything. So yeah, I guess we have that already.
Yeah, exactly. It's but yeah, of course, we're also always very open to work with such partners and to do more. Somebody asked a very general question, or less of a question, more of a comment. I hope there are some new features for us that use Nextcloud at home. And I thought we could talk about that for a minute, because we did in the end, I think, most of us at Nextcloud, also using Nextcloud privately, of course, in many cases. And I mean, this is also very core to our motivation why we started this project.
Exactly. Yeah, so it is super important, as Jos said. We're all using it at home for our private stuff, for our families, for everything. And use it also in the company. So it always has the goal to be ready for both things. And we do features that are only interesting for, private users, and some features only for professional company or university or government usage. So we have both. Yeah, I mean, I think we have both. So the goal is to make both sides happy. And so far, I think we are successful with that. So we have a lot of happy home users. Of course, there could always be more improvements in all areas, and we're working on that. But overall, we try to have the balance with the different target groups, which is interesting because sometimes people say, yeah, it's not possible, you should concentrate only on one thing. But I mean, if you compare it with other products, if you look at what, Gmail or Microsoft Word or iOS, Android, I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of products that are totally fine for home users and also for businesses, and we're trying to do the same. That's something that works for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It's I mean, of course, there are some features that are mostly interested for home users, and we try to put effort in that as well. We maintain things like simple sign up and SQLite support. Those aren't exactly big enterprise features, but in many other areas, I think features are relevant for both private and small and big enterprises. I think that's important for us. More of a feature, a couple of questions actually about circles. So first was, will there be quota for circles? That's a tough one.
I mean, quota is something that usually is not. I mean, a circle is a group of people.
Right.
So it's not sure it makes sense to have a quota for a group of people. It more makes sense to have a quota for something like a shared folder or a group folder that is then shared with this group of people, I think.
Yeah.
So
The next
maybe
question
something-
was then about group folders indeed. Will group folders be integrated in circles? And then the quota thing becomes relevant, of course, but there we have
Exactly.
the issue, I think, that circles is meant for, like, for users without an admin to manage their groups. So then,
Yeah.
like, the quota thing is something, of course, an administrator has to set. So this creates, I think, kind of complicated situation.
Yeah, it's an interesting philosophical question. So first of all, about the quota, I think the quota is something that belongs like to a resource, like to a shared folder or a group folder or something like that. Not really to a group, like a circle, because you can also have like 5 folders then shared with the same circle, and then all folders have the same quota. So I think it's more something that belongs to the resource and not to the group, in my opinion. Yeah. And then, of course, the question is group folders. I mean, there we have to take a step back to understand what we really wanted to do here in the first place, because something that was supported forever in the software is have shared folders. So every user can have a folder and share it with other people or with groups, also with a circle. And then everybody has access to this folder. This is a feature that exists forever. This is basically a standard basic sharing that always works. The thing is, then this shared folder still belongs to this one user who did the share. And then there was sometimes the request that, well, can we also have like shared folders that don't belong to a user, that basically come from the system, that come from the admin, come from the overall system. They're done administratively. They're not really belong to a user. And this is why we created the group folder. Group folders is something that only the admin can set up for the whole system. It's a bit similar, like, I don't know, on old Windows file servers, you have an admin created like a shared network drive or something, right? Or I don't know, there's a letter M on Windows for M for marketing or something. And this is like done by the admin, not by a user.
And that's why we also implemented access control lists there, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So this was building after this model. So basically sharing, a group folder with circles is a bit of a clash of concepts there, because the point of circles is it's not coming from the admin. Everybody can create a folder, a circle, but not everybody can create a group folder. It's the point of it. So we will explore more options there, but it's actually something we have to make sure that the concept actually align properly.
Yeah, exactly. There was one more circles question. What happens to the existing circles from the existing circles app, and can you still enable that app and disable it and control it?
Yeah, so the old circles are still there. Nothing happens there. And technically, it is still, the old circles app still exists. It's just that it doesn't show up on its own as an app in the navigation. It then basically integrates into the contacts app. But the circles app is still there.
Yeah. So the question was if you can disable it.
You can disable it, yeah, of course, yeah. Like lots of things, Nextcloud can disable it, and then the circles feature is gone.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Somebody asked if the approval feature can be used by a guest, and I actually do not know. Do you?
Oh, I don't know either. That's interesting. That's an interesting question.
Yeah. I would guess not, because I think you need to be in a certain group to get the approval permission, but you can probably put the guest users in that group.
Yeah.
And then it would work. But like if you mean an anonymous user, like somebody who's not in any group at all, I don't think so. I don't think it works on a public link.
Yeah, we have to follow up on that question.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So another question, it's a bit related to the home user question a bit earlier, is, Nextcloud is getting more and more powerful. Can it still run on a small home server?
Yeah. So nothing changed there with our strategy there. So Nextcloud is quite an interesting software in many ways. one of it that it really is something that is useful for like 1, 2, 3 people, families, but also like for huge governments with 100,000 of users. It's really usable for everybody, and it's the same for hosting it. This was a question. So you can still run Nextcloud on a Raspberry Pi. I mean, we always use Raspberry Pi as an example because it's like the cheapest, most common small computer. I personally, I'm not really sure if I would actually recommend a Raspberry Pi, because maybe I want to have something with like redundant storage or something, but I don't know, whatever. It really runs on really small devices. And also runs on huge clusters. So, and actually we do ongoing performance optimizations. Every release is getting faster, actually. So yeah, I would say it really even runs better on small devices than before.
Yeah, absolutely. We are adding functionality, of course, but a lot of that is in apps and doesn't impact just, for example, accessing your files, right? So it shouldn't have a big impact on the performance. Somebody asked about Z-push support for mobile, so that then wouldn't need third-party apps for Groupware functionality.
Yeah, so Z-push, like I don't know how many people know that. That's like how is it called? The Microsoft API standard activity
For Outlook.
Something. The
right.
Outlook, yeah, activity. I forgot it. So this would basically make it like natively compatible with Outlook and Microsoft clients. The thing is, and actually, it was actually on our roadmap many years ago, where I thought maybe we should do that. The thing is, CalDAV and CarDAV, like the open standards that we support forever, really become more and more popular. So even like Outlook now and all the built-in Microsoft calendar and stuff really supports this nowadays. So I would say the need for something like Z-push is like getting smaller and smaller. It's still something that theoretically we could do to implement as an additional way of accessing your contacts and calendar things. But to be totally honest, it's actually like going down on the priority list at the moment, because CalDAV and CarDAV really become like the standard everywhere.
Well, that's good, right? They're open standards, and well, we definitely prefer open standards over closed stuff. So yeah, I think that's better for everyone. Of course, it's annoying if as a user you are stuck with Z-push. So I get the request, of course.
So someone in the chat actually reminded me. It's called ActiveSync.
ActiveSync,
so I totally forgot it. So ActiveSync. So Z-push is an ActiveSync implementation. So yeah, ActiveSync is the name. But I think ActiveSync becomes less mission critical nowadays, I think.
Yeah. Somebody asked about the text editor, if it will get a code view to display the markdown code. I think we've had this request a couple of times.
That's an interesting question. So you basically want to see the text without the formatting, basically.
Yeah. What I personally do is I rename the file to a .txt if I really need to see it for a minute, because that works. Of course, there's no easy button for that, but that does the trick.
That's a good trick, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if this is something an average user really needs, if that, I don't know.
I think most people probably prefer the what you see is what you get, like formatted view.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you not just need an editor which doesn't understand Markdown to show it without Markdown. So as you said, renaming it helps, or just opening, if you have synced it to your desktop, just opening it up with any other editor you have.
Yeah.
And then it's there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let me see the next question. So I'm waiting for a feature like paste images from the clipboard to events like cards or a calendar event or comments, notes, etc. That's I mean, I'm guessing that you would then want the image to be uploaded and then put somewhere in Nextcloud and then insert it as a link, or depending on the app.
Yeah, it's depending on the app. It's depending on the app, exactly. Because, not every text area supports all formats, right? So as you said, if it contains a picture, it needs to be then uploaded somewhere and linked there, or if it's a video or something else. And same with like rich text, right? Because we often support like Markdown nowadays, as discussed earlier. But then if you post like something from Word, which is formatted in a way that does not support Markdown, then yeah, what do we do then? But it's a good point. We should like improve that to make it sure that it's like most rich formats are like understood and translated. But yeah, it's not super easy. But it's a really good request actually. It's I think this we should put this a little bit higher on the list to do.
Yeah, it is convenient to just drag and drop things, which is already mostly supported in most places, and yeah, just a Control V or Apple Sign V or Command V, I think it is on Apple. That is convenient sometimes, yes. Yeah. So somebody asked, will there eventually be something like a data safe for particularly sensitive data, an additional password protected directory or something like that?
Yeah. So we have something a little bit like that. I mean, depends on what exactly your requirements are. But if you use our end-to-end encryption feature, then you can actually take a folder and mark it as end-to-end encrypted. And then, yeah, it will, as the name suggests, will be end-to-end encrypted, which means it will no longer be accessible from the web interface.
Yeah.
But it still will be there on the clients. And the server is just an encrypted blob which you can't access. That's probably not exactly what you want, but yeah, you can put some very sensitive data in there, and it's not like on the server.
Yeah, it always depends on your attack scenario, so to say, right? What is it you're trying to protect from? And if you try to protect from somebody breaking into your server, and maybe even being in there for a month and not getting detected, then the end-to-end encryption is the only reliable solution, because the server can never access the data no matter what. It also means you don't have a web interface. You can't open the files, you can't view them, you can't edit them, you can't share them with a public link because the server can't get to them. But it does protect you, and if you're worried about particularly sensitive data and a system administrator getting access to it, if you're a big company, or even like I think our customer, the TU Berlin, they wanted this because they wanted the HR department to go paperless. But it was for them a violation of the privacy of their employees if the personnel dossiers would be accessible by the system administrator. And of course, with a normal Nextcloud setup, the data can be accessed by a system administrator. They shouldn't do that. That depends on the policies you have in your company. But they could, in theory. With end-to-end encryption, only the employees in the department themselves would have access. So that is, if that is what you're worried about, then this is a solution.
Yeah, it's a compliance thing. Yeah,
it's a good
example.
Talking about compliance, somebody asked if there are public security audit report for Nextcloud, and I can actually answer that because Steve Jordy from the city of Geneva already talked, and they made their the security check that was done by by a company that worked for them, basically. The security report that they paid for, they made it available to all Nextcloud users, so you can get it on our white paper page. And then you can see the results from that, which is good, I think. Of course, you can of course also do your own audits or work with us to do an audit as well.
There are actually other organizations also did audits in the past. Unfortunately, they often don't make it publicly available, which, is unfortunately sad.
Yes.
That's how it is often.
Yeah, of course. The next person asked or said, I love talk. Great, we do. And then asks if, or says, well, it doesn't scale very well. And he's asking if it's possible to disable end-to-end encryption, if that would make a difference.
Okay, so that's complicated question because the thing is with Talk is it was our design goal to have something that basically works automatically for everybody, again as a Raspberry Pi, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
So if you just install Nextcloud Hub, you get talk, and you can do chatting, and you can video call, and there's nothing to set up. You don't need a sysadmin. It's super easy. Even if you don't have talk, you just go to the App Store page, one click, and then you have chat and video calling. But because we wanted to make this very easy, then this means that this is like the basic setup, which is only has like the super basic components installed. There is basically a way to take this kind of super easy version of Talk and adding more components and to make it then really scalable to really a lot of like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of users. That's possible. But for that, you need just to add more components. For example, the first thing is you really should have a stun and a turn server. Stun is something that there's one pre-configured, but you can also use a different one. You need a turn server for that. And then there are additional components. There's something that we call the high performance backend that you can, it's also open source, you can download and install and configure. And this comes with additional components. This comes with Janus, for example, which is an open source component. It's an SFU, which is a component that sits in the middle and distributes the stream more intelligently. And it also comes with an advanced signaling server that is written in Go, which scales better, and it comes with a lot more components. It makes the setup more complicated, yes, but then it also becomes a lot more scalable. So you have to basically a little bit decide between the super simple but then limited way and then the super scalable way. And talking about end-to-end encryption, that's also a bit related. So by default, the video and audio streams of all participants are sent peer-to-peer between the different devices, end-to-end encrypted. But this means that the number of connections basically that every participant has to handle, like sending streams and receiving streams, really grows a lot if you have like a call with 50 people. So for that, we need to have this central component, this Janus component, which distributes the streams to everybody. And this, at the moment, means that it's no longer end-to-end encrypted because, well, as I said, you have the central component, basically. Yeah. You don't have like peer-to-peer, you have a central component, and then it's no longer end-to-end encrypted. There's actually work to be done on improving this architecture together with other participants in the WebRTC space. So Google, for example, is working a lot on that. Also browser manufacturers working on that to improve the way this works, to make it also possible to have end-to-end encrypted video calls and still decentralized components. So that's something, once the standard, it's a standard question. Once the standard is basically certified and it's supported by browsers, we will also support it. And then you have basically both. Yeah. But it's a lot, this was just a summary. Unfortunately, this is really complicated. So
yeah, it is a complicated issue. Many elements to it. And yeah. So here's a very important question, I think. For you specifically, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized Google Drives or one horse-sized Google Drive?
Interesting question. Well, I mean, the whole idea when I started with this whole idea, Nextcloud and the project before, was to decentralize the internet again. So I don't want to live in a future where like 3 big companies control all knowledge, all data, everything from the whole planet. I think this is dystopia. From my perspective, the goal is to have everything more decentralized, that they not have like 3 providers, but 3 million providers, right? This is a lot better. And maybe one of those providers is like running it at home or at your university, or maybe you go to a service provider, to someone like Ionos or Telecom, one of our partners. But you have the choice. You have like 3 million options, not only like 1 or 2. So to answer the question, I actually would, if there would be like 3 million small ducks, I think
you would stop fighting, right?
This is the goal, right? I mean, if there would be like thousands, 100,000 of small Google Drive ducks, that's the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the moment, we're fighting one big one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so covered. Question is if there are plans to make contacts available as data source for Collabora. So I'm guessing something like mail merge-ish stuff.
Okay. Interesting question. So we will work in the next few months on closer integration between the Office component on Nextcloud. And to be totally honest, contacts in Office documents didn't pop up so far, but I think it's a good one. Maybe we should put it on the list as something to integrate. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. The second question was the ability to share a date in the calendar with a group distribution instead of having to add individuals. I think that would be a nice one indeed, that you can share with a circle, like an appointment. Create an appointment with a group or with a circle or with, a contact group, which at the moment is still separate.
So I'm not sure how this works because we have shared calendars, but there are no shared appointments.
I think this is about making an appointment. So right now, if you make an appointment with somebody, you have to, let's say I make an appointment in the marketing team, I have to add 5 people.
I know what you mean, but it's not shared, it's an invitation.
Right, yeah, it's an invitation.
That's different. But yeah, I mean, this is a good idea that you can able to put a circle there and then all invitations are sent to members of the circle. Of course, as I said before, it's really different, right? Which means because if then the membership of a circle changes later, it's too late, right? Because the invitations are sent. It's not a shared event. It's not a shared event. That doesn't exist. It's in invitations.
Yeah. Another question is, will there be password protection for the pages and Nextcloud collectives? I'm struggling to think.
At the moment, it's not planned, no. I mean, of course, we have permissions, so it integrates, as we've seen in the circle, in the video, it integrates circles. And there are just normal files in the normal files view, as we saw.
Yeah.
So we can have different permissions on different pages for different circles and people and so on. But yeah, once you have access, you have access. Right? We don't have any additional password check.
Well, for a public link, if you share a collective's page with a public link, then you can put a password on it. But I think within Nextcloud, passwords don't make a lot of sense. I mean, you give somebody access or you don't. And people have an account. Somebody asked when we update the Docker image, but this is something done by community members, and it always takes a little bit. So it's hard to say anything about that.
Yeah, you can't have hard dates, but they usually do it in just a few days. So
yeah. Okay, now we have only 5 more minutes, so I'm going to try and pick a couple more questions, but I can't cover all of them. We got a kind of a thank you from actually quite a number of people, so I'm just going to say in general, we appreciate it. So Steve Geordie, the Steve Geordie, he asked, he said, the one good thing people are asking regarding circles is notifications. File downloads, uploads, etc. should send notifications to internal users and people outside that get an URL to interact. And I think with Nextcloud Flow, this should be it should be possible to set this up. So there isn't a button that you can say, hey, get notified. And I mean, that could be interesting, I guess.
Yeah. The thing is, we have to be careful which feature directly add in the user interface, like send me a notification if this file is changed by someone in this group. I mean, this could be a button, but then we have to be careful to not overload everything. And this is why we decided to put these more advanced things into Nextcloud Flow, as you said, that we can configure if certain events happen, then certain things can be triggered. Yeah. And one of the things that can be triggered are actually sending out push notifications or emails or writing into a log file or calling an external script or whatever. And I think this should be possible then to configure like that. But it's a bit like it's configuration because it's not a super common thing.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a question. Sorry, again, I have to skip a few because we have only a few more minutes left. Another question about collectives. Can pages be tagged, or are tags a part of future development? I think that's an interesting question about collectives.
I think this should be relatively easy possible because, as I think explained in the video, a collectives page is at the end of the day just a markdown file in the normal files app.
Yeah.
And every file, of course, can be tagged. I mean, we have tagging. So, and also this can be then used to filter and to search and everything in the files app. So I think what we should do then is to show these tags in the collectives app.
Exactly.
But this is, I don't want to promise it, but it sounds like super easy to do because they actually already exist.
Yeah, there needs to be UI to add tags maybe and remove them, because you can in files, you can already tag the files and even use the search to find them. This already works.
Yeah.
But there's no UI for this in collectives. Another question, do you plan to support displaying GIFs in collectives? Very important.
Yeah. I mean, I see these feature requests, I always feel old. Like, I mean, already happy that we have like emojis all over the place. And yeah, of course, yeah, I can see that you also want to have GIFs, but yeah.
And then stickers, right? Stickers are next.
Oh, sticker packs are the future.
Yeah. And then like 30-second videos, I guess, that get removed after a week.
Yeah, dense videos, very important.
Right.
No, I'm sorry for kidding. I think GIFs is a good idea. I think this is something we should do.
Yeah, at the moment you can insert a GIF, but it won't play. But that's something I think that can change. That can be done. So there was one last question. I think we should use this as the last one. Sorry for everyone else who didn't get their questions answered, but I had to skip a few. Is there something new in the area of backup and single item restore? And is it possible for a user to move from one Nextcloud instance to another? I think these are two separate questions we maybe just be able to address. I didn't pick the easiest questions.
No promises, but someone might work on those two things in the future.
Right. That's a lovely teasing answer. Yes, because we also got questions about what's going to come in Nextcloud Talk in a few weeks. So.
So to be clear, I mean, backup is obviously possible to backup and restore and move to a different server and everything. That's obviously possible. Yeah. The thing is, at the moment, it requires like, I don't know, like whatever, 10 lines of bash script or something, right? Yeah. You need to have a database dump and like snapshotting the files and stuff. So that's possible, but we might do something that's easier then in the future.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, then we're at the end. Thanks a lot for joining, everyone, not just Frank, of course. I really appreciated your questions. Well, we'll do this again, I'm sure, and then we can answer maybe the other questions, so stay tuned. Enjoy Nextcloud 22, give us feedback on social media, etc. And have a good day and a good week. Stay safe.
Thanks a lot. Have fun.